What's going on, Jeromes? Continuing on with a lot of Q&A, a lot of things going on. Let's go. Lego to Curry. If you could change one play in Vikings history, what would it be? Well, the easy answer would be to change a play in the Super Bowl, but I don't think that one singular play would flip the outcome in the four Super Bowls because all four of them weren't necessarily close. I mean, that's a dirty little secret. None of the Vikings' four Super Bowls were within one score. I think the closest one was the Steelers one. I think they lost 16-6, so that's whatever. But the easy answer would be the Gary Anderson kick. Just send that thing in, and then the Vikings go to the Super Bowl. They probably beat the Broncos and John frickin' Elway. Yeah. Quest for Adventure. Is there any chance we trade either of our top two running backs? Unlikely. Dalvin's especially unlikely. I think he's going to be a very big part of this offense. But Madison, maybe, even though I really do like Alexander Madison. Say King Kene and Ty Chandler really step up, and Madison is expendable. He's heading into the final year of his rookie deal. Maybe a running back, a needy team wants to send like a fourth-round pick. Maybe, but I think it's still unlikely. Jack Chang. You see that stat that Kirk Cousins scored at least one touchdown in the last 30 games. Does that mean if he was on the Packers last season, they would have won in the playoffs? Well, maybe. Real question. Who is your guess at surprise cuts for the Vikings? Surprise cuts? Looking at guys who were part of the previous regime, not so much the new one. So Wyatt Davis, Oli Udoh, sure. Chaz Surratt, maybe. Chris Boyd, I guess. Yeah. Miles, if the Vikings make the Super Bowl, what team are they facing if you had to wager? I would say, if I had to bet on it, probably the Bills or the Chargers. Yeah. Dime Clips. Will you think this is Kirk's season to prove the people wrong that never believed him since he came to Minnesota? Yes. And I think that he's on a good trajectory where hooking up with Kevin O'Connell, hopefully this offensive line is going to be the best of the 5 years he's been here in Minnesota. 2018, 2019, he was ass. Thank you. But like we said, since the bye in 2020, he's played some of the best football of his career. So he is ascending at the proper time. Samuel Ansani. Well, one defensive player would you want the Vikings to sign? Literally anyone is available. Well, the easy answer would be Aaron Donald, right? But taking him off the table, I mean, TJ Watt or Myles Garrett would be a pretty great one as well. Or you could just go a little bit off the board. Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey. Xavier Howard a little bit because of age. Tristan D. Do you think the Eagles passing on Jefferson was just a free B from the football gods as revenge for the NFC Championship game? Yes. But we are still owed like 17,000 miracles after that. Ryan O'Sullivan, who's the most underrated Viking of all time in your opinion? Well, I'm going to do an old school, a newish school, and then a current. So old school, I'll go Jim Marshall, even though he should be in the Hall of Fame easily. I think he got overshadowed by his defensive line mates, but he was an Iron Man, captain, leader, just absolutely got after it. One of the best football players in Vikings franchise history. He doesn't get the time of day from younger fans as well as from the national media. Recent history, Marcus Sherrills. I mean, Marcus Sherrills, for a stretch, was the second best punt returner in the National Football League for about 3-4 years. Like, it was Hester, it was Marcus Sherrills, and he never got that credit because every single year Vikings fans were saying in camp, oh, this is the year Marcus Sherrills doesn't make the team. Baloney. Currently underrated Viking. Super underrated? I don't know. I guess there really isn't one at this point. Maybe Armand for Watts. Yeah, Armand Watts. I'll put him out there. CJ Ham is the man. Oh, CJ Ham. What surprise cuts do you think will not make the 53? I already covered that one. So some of these questions may have bled over from the previous Q&A. Sometimes they reshuffle their order. Rowdy Harger. Curious to see how we get kicked in the nuts this year. Me too. Paul Peterson. Top 3 Vikings since 1990. I would say John Randall, Randy Moss, Chris Carter. Yeah, that's pretty easy. Top 3 Vikings coaches since 1990. Well, I guess Jerry Burns would count since that's 91. But I would say Denny Green. Wait, does this count for assistants too? Because I'll say Denny Green, Tony Dungy, and Brian Billick. There you go. Oh, Mike Tomlin, sure. Top 3 Vikings teams since 1990 and does this team have a little bit? I'm gonna make that cut. 2022 TBD, but best team since 1990. 98 would be first. 2009 would be second. 2017 would be third. And they have a chance. They have a chance to be just as great or better than 2017. Ash, All-Star Elite. Who are your top 5 teams right now? Seriously, fight the urge to put the Vikings less you truly believe they are. So we'll just abstain from the Vikings. We're also going to abstain from the Packers. Top 5, I would say I would put the Bills, the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Bucks, and the Rams as a top 5. Sure. Skull G, who do you think will be the Vikings' best rookie this year? Lewisine is the easy answer for sure, but I think that we're going to be surprised by Andrew Booth Jr. I think that he's going to come in healthy, ready to go, and I think that he's going to rock out. Eric Anderson, will Justin freaking Jefferson be the first wide receiver top 2K yards in a season? Yes. At some point in his career, yes. He'll be aided by the 17th game, as well as the relaxation of some of the passing rules. But yeah, he's gonna get it. Beast on drums. When are the hats going to be released? Release soon. We're working on that Wix website. Nimsen, what do you think about Kellerman year 2? Feels like year 1. I think that last year was basically a redshirt year for Kellen Mond. I think this year, with a serious offensive coaching staff and a coach that actually will give him the time of day, I think that he does have a chance to ascend, at least be QB2, potentially be quarterback of the future. D-Dog, if the Vikings hired Poles, would Eberflus be hired as well? Eberflus is basically hired before they hired Poles, so probably not. I think if Poles got hired, because the Vikings that already had a couple rounds of interviews, so it still might have been O'Connell, possibly. Rye W, do you think Kirk and the offense would be able to fully grasp the Vance offensive system this year? Can they process the if this, then this before getting hit? If we only have 1 year, surprise teams catch on. Well, I think it definitely helps that Kirk has been in Kevin O'Connell's offense before. And it's not going to be a straight-up carbon copy of the Rams. I'm sure that Kevin O'Connell will tailor it to Kirk Cousins. I'm sure that they'll use an overlap of a lot of terminology and concepts from previous years, so they're able to hit the ground running. Paul Peterson, combined sack total for D. Hunter and Zadarius Smith over under 22.5 over. Hammer that over, man. I mean, Daniil might get that by himself. Waffle 720. Do you think Kirk will get another contract? If not, when do you think we get his replacement? Another contract here with the Vikings, because he's obviously going to play after his 1 year deal in 2023 is up. But the question is, will it be here? I think that there's a chance, because he'll only be 35, and for quarterbacks, I mean, that's 35. I mean, that ain't ish anymore, right? So quarterbacks have played into the late 30s, into the 40s. Question will be here, and if the Vikings do have success this year and the next year, as they're projected to do, why would they necessarily change course? I don't know. And Kellerman could be his replacement, or they go fish in the draft the next 2 years. The sports recipe. So I'll say the chances of Kirk getting another contract with the Vikings would be about 55%. Because if things go well this year and they want to adjust cap space next year, they'll just kick the can down the road, just like they did with Kirk Cousins this season, right? So they'll tack on another year. They'll add a void year. They'll do anything to free up some cap space. The sports recipe. How many more years will Adam Thielen play? Will he play his entire career in Minnesota? I think he'll play 4 more years, and yes, I think the Vikings will have him play out his entire career here in Minnesota. I think that even though Larry Fitzgerald is a Minnesota guy, I mean, Arizona adopted him. That's home for him, and I think that he's going to have a Larry Fitzgerald-esque ending to his career. Jake Lagavin, Nashville trip coming up next week. Any suggestions? So the wife was just out in Nashville on a girls trip. I haven't been to Nashville in like 8 years, but it's a really fun town. Find that street, the name escapes me, where all like the bands are. I mean, there's live music all over the place. I mean, there's live music at Taco Bell down there. That's not even an exaggeration. Also, just soak up as much great barbecue as you can and go from there. Billy Austin, What if Kirk? And if you want to be nerdy, go see the Pantheon. It's pretty damn sweet. What if Kirk is just ass this year? What should the Vikings do next offseason at quarterback? Well, they can't really. Well, his no trade clause has been reinforced, so the Vikings would have to get his permission to trade him. But the Vikings, if Kalaman is ready, have him be in there, potentially draft a quarterback. Yes, do that. Jude Cook. Whose rookie season would you rather have, Randy Moss or Justin Jefferson? Don't factor in team success, but I would say Randy Moss, because Randy Moss was transcendent. I mean, Jefferson, even though he broke Randy Moss's rookie yardage record, even though he had a phenomenal season, one of the best in NFL history, it just didn't have that impact that Randy Moss had, where obviously NFC North teams are very wary about Jefferson going forward, but Randy Moss changed the way that the teams in the division drafted for the next couple of years, because you look at the drafts from 99 on, and the Packers and the Lions and the Bears and the Bucks, they just went cornerback, DB, all right? It was a major shift in the National Football League, going from a ground and pound league to a wide open offense, and Randy Moss was the pioneer of that. Estano 21. Biggest threat to this Vikings team doesn't have to be another NFL team, just what's more likely to slow us down. History. Vikings history. That's just how it goes. But in the division, I mean, the Packers will be there. I think the Lions may be sneaky good this year, even though I think they're a couple years away from being legit. I mean, they could surprise a couple teams. Colin Baker. Who will be a bigger Minnesota sports icon, Justin Jefferson or Anthony Edwards? It's tough because it's easier for a basketball player to be the face of a franchise than the face of a league, simply because there's fewer players and it's a superstar-driven league. Jefferson, being a non-quarterback, I mean, it's tough. It's like who is the larger icon, KG or Randy Moss? It's really kind of a toss-up. But I mean, if Anthony Edwards continues on his path, I mean, there's a little MJ to Anthony Edwards' game. Maybe he's Vince Carter right now, but maybe he could ascend to be an MJ. And Jefferson could be, the greatest wide receiver of all time, and it'd still be close. We're just happy to have both. It's who signs the second contract. Like, if Anthony Edwards obviously gets a max deal here, that'd be great. Or Jefferson gets all the money. Go ahead. DHVF. Where do you see the Lions 2 years from now? I think if they get a competent quarterback, they have some capital now that they can maneuver, potentially get a CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. And if they get their quarterback of the future, they have a great offensive line. They have some fantastic weapons. That defense is starting to come together. So they could be very, very good very quickly. With Jamison Williams as well as Aiden Hutchinson. Come on. John Anderson TV. What do you think about quarterback KJ Jefferson at Arkansas as a potential future franchise quarterback for the Vikings? I know nothing about him. That's all. Study with Matt. Is the division already locked up if we win week 1? Yes. Done. Finito. Over. Conan Billy Bone. Will Bradbury lose starting job? 2. Is he on the rooster or is he a free agent? I think he'll start the season at center. I think at some point during the season he will be overtaken by Chris Reed at center. Angel Dutz Sr. What do you think the percentage can be of Andrew Booth Jr. becoming a shutdown corner in this league? 50-50 with crystal ball. Either it happens or it doesn't. But yeah, Andrew Booth is a bad dude. Get him signed, get him in camp. Let's go. TG 54-55. Will the Vikings' new strategies on offense and defense be better than last year's? Yes. Well, offense last year wasn't really an issue. The defense was just booty, just straight up. But I think that the offense will be a little bit more octane. And talk about game script and game flow. Vikings getting up double digits, 2 scores, multiple scores in the second half. Other team gets desperate. All of a sudden, this defense is able to pin their ears back and rush the passer. And that's what you've seen, where some of the greatest offenses in NFL history, whether it be the 98 Vikings, the 99 Rams, the 2013 Broncos, where, I mean, their defense on the other side of the ball. Well, I mean, the Broncos defense was fantastic with Ware and Von Miller, don't get me wrong, but what they were predicated on was having a lead and playing downhill. So it wasn't all about stuffing the run when the other team is trying to run out the clock in the second half. It's about having light, fast pass rushers able to get after the quarterback when they're in pass situations, right? So I think that's what the Vikings this year will be reflective of. David Hill, How many Hall of Famers on the rooster right now, either based on career projection or a guaranteed lock if they retire today? I would say 3. I think Harrison Smith needs consideration. I doubt that he'll get in, even though he has had a Hall of Fame worthy career. I think that the AP voters screwed him multiple times, and when it comes to All-Pro voting, when it came to the 2010 All-Decade team, I do think that Danielle Hunter will be a Hall of Famer. I think he gets his career back on track this season, and Jefferson is, maybe Brian O'Neill. Sneaky, baby. Love it. Tyler Johnston. Who picks up Zimmer? Does someone actually give Slick Rick a GM job? I think that the Cowboys next year, Sean Payton will be head coach and Mike Zimmer will be defense coordinator. Nailed it. Ryan Tourville. What current or past player is or was most like Jake Reed? It's like Jake Reed. I'd say BC Johnson is sort of a poor man's version of Jake Reed. I mean, because Jake Reed was he like a 9th round pick or something like that? But he worked his way up. He became a 1,000-yard receiver, and Jake Reed was always a team first guy. Like, it would have been very easy for Jake Reed to vent to the media after they drafted Randy Moss. It's like, I was a 1,000-yard receiver in '97, and then you bring in Randy Moss, but he never complained about his role as wide receiver 3, even though him and Chris Carter were a very nice duo. So I always loved and respected that about Jake Reed. And I think BC Johnson is that type of player. And now BC's career got derailed by injuries or whatever, but BC does have a lot of that team first mentality. And, given their late round draft status, sure. Vega Scagnetti. There are no questions. We're winning the Super Bowl. Tristan D. If the Vikings somehow miss the playoffs this year and it's not because of injuries, could Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell only last one season here? Nah, I don't think that would happen. But I do think that Kwesi may have kept the roster intact just as a get out of jail free card or an ace up his sleeve, because he could have been like, hey, we tried to win it with the previous regime's players, so now we have to start over. I think that could be up in there. WF Gaming. Yeah, if the Vikings miss the playoffs 2 years in a row, maybe they'd be in hot water, but no, not 1 year. VF Gaming. Do the Vikings do you think the Vikings will make it to the Super Bowl? I'm hopeful, but not sure. Yes, I do. The sports recipe. Best pizza place in the southern part of the Twin Cities. Southern part. Well, does Minneapolis count? I've always had a love for Black Sheep pizza. I mean, I just think it's phenomenal. Get the mushroom pizza, baby. But overall, since we make a lot of pizza at home, like, we haven't really branched out, and I mean, because there's some great regional chains that get pooed on. Like, I think Carboni's is great. I think a Red Savoy is great. I think Pizza Luce is great. So I'm not really like that big of a pizza snob. But in terms of like smaller places, yeah, Black Sheep is fantastic. Bennett Durham Klein. Do you make your videos at 4 a.m. or are they pre-recorded? Pre-recorded. Yeah. Traveler, top 2 sports writers you like and top 2 that you can't stand. I actually don't read a lot. Yeah, shocker, right? All right, so we'll change this to sports media personalities. So 2 that I like Marcellus Wiley a lot. I think that he's not afraid to have takes that are divergent from the established narrative. I think that he backs up his arguments with facts and logic and reason, whether they're popular or not. So I really love me some Marcellus Wiley. I love Dan Patrick, of course, DP. 2 that I can't stand. I mean, Skip Bayless would be the obvious one. But Skip Bayless used to be a hell of a writer back in the day, too. And then he got weird. There's a movie about Skip Bayless coming out. Who is this movie for? Like what's your audience there? I don't get it. Number 2 that I can't stand. It's kind of tough. I mean, I guess Stephen A. Smith would be the easy one too, but a lot like Skip, or whether it's Skip or Stephen A. Smith or Colin Cowherd, I do respect the hustle, and I understand that it's a bit like pro wrestling where you have to become a heel to just really sell some of the content. I get it. I fully understand. Like, there's not really anyone that I can't stand. You know what I mean? Samuel R.C. Do you sometimes go to the Vikings social media pages and see if anyone comments something from the channel? No, but that it would be. Now, I'm not advocating, but it would be hilarious if some of it just came up Jerome. Pixel 0727. Do you think ISM will break out into wide receiver 3? I think he certainly has that potential. Maybe not this year. I think that he can become a great wide receiver 4 because KJ and Thielen are still here. But the trio, the triumvirate down the line, could it be after Thielen retires? Could it be Jefferson, KJ, and ISM? Sure. Why the hell not? Cody Pierce. Why is it that the Pro level powers that be hate Minnesota sports so much and would just seem written off? History, I guess. Eric Hansen. Assume the Vikings win the Super Bowl this season. Who retires? Harrison and Kendricks, maybe. I think Thielen would keep playing. I think Kirk would obviously keep playing. But Harrison has always struck me as a guy, obviously loves football, but he has so many interests outside of the game. Plus, Kendricks as well. Yeah, he started up his new YouTube channel, loves motorsports, loves cars, loves everything like that. Plus, both of them are recently married, so that certainly changes life priorities. And you know what? Even though they got some great football left in them, maybe. Would not like to see it because obviously if the Vikings win the Super Bowl, they're a big part of it. So, I don't know. Joshua Sormrud. So, in what Minnesota fighting Vikings way are we losing the NFC Championship game? Power goes out, and the other team just wins by default. Skull Lee, Vikings winning the next 3 Super Bowls, yes. Tristan Bailey, big cigar guy, favorite kind. I do enjoy cigars from time to time. I'm very much a novice cigar smoker, very much like a very novice wine drinker, but sort of like what I like. So we ordered like a mixed case. And put it in the nice humidor and stuff. There's a brand from Nicaragua. I can't remember the brand name, but that's really good. It's like a square. Kind of weird. But of course, I always like Cohiba, like spiciness, boldness, wake your ass up. Plus, there's a milder. There's a Cohiba Connecticut, I think it's called. Really good. I think it's got a white label on it. Really, really good. Very mild. Bennett Durham Klein. So what does it mean, like Vikings plus 500 minus? I just don't get the power rankings at all. Plus 500 minus. So are you talking about gambling? So plus 500 would be you're getting 5-1 on your money. So basically, with the plus or minus 100, always think of if you're betting $100 bill. So if you're getting plus 100, if you win your bet, you're getting $100 back on your bet. Or if it's plus 500, you're getting 5-1 back. So you're getting 500 plus your original 100 back. Minus 500 means what? You're getting 20 and something like that. Yep. So minus means favorite, plus means dog. Go from there. Jerry Jones, the Lizard King. Streaming service power rankings. I would say, well, does Disney, ESPN, and Hulu count as one because they're bundled together? But no, we'll break them up into individual ones. I would say that, again, this is all personal preference. I would say YouTube TV would be 1. Amazon Prime 2, ESPN Plus 3, Paramount Plus 4, Apple TV 5. Now I'm just talking about Apple TV's original content. I'm not talking about since they can compile all of the streaming services. I will say Netflix 6. How the Mighty Have Fallen, then Hulu 7, somewhere in there. I'm just talking about the ones that we have. XE number 8 Prod. Why are the Vikings goated? Because it is what it is. Crazy Asylum. That's way too much to read. Too long, don't read either. I'm sorry this is happening to you, or I'm happy for you. One of the two. Either way, that's it. That is Jerome's Q&A for Tuesday. Thank you very much for coming along, putting in questions, etc. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work, put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull, production value.